giant monolithic elemental juggernauts, brand new plot points revealed, and a brand new red element? What the hell is going on? Well, let's dive into it and find out. You're right, kids, it's Raasclark, and welcome to your regular ARK community news. Before we begin, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, share around, and let's get into it. Because surprise, surprise, in Community Crunch 480, we get a first look at a brand new creature that's not only going to be arriving with Lost Colony, but actually arriving to ARK Ascended prior to the map releasing. This thing is a monster. Look at it. Metal Megapithecus goes brrr. Or is it? It does certainly take on the characteristics of a primate, looking a bit similar to the monkey bust that we know. But beyond that, it's got an almost carnivore-like bone trike head, adorned by metal chains and clamps that I can only assume is the saddle you're going to be attaching to this thing, with what appears to be a combination between natural spikes and the spikes the saddle adorns. But Wildcard explained this monster of a creature, which if you didn't notice, towers above your player. Look at the size of that. In fact, probably pretty close to the Megapithecus in size looking at this. Maybe just marginally a bit bigger, but they're excited to reveal this Lost Colony creature lurking in the wilds soon, with the team being hard at work polishing every detail of Lost Colony to deliver the adventure you've been waiting for. And this colossal creature called the Ossidon, or Ossidon, it's going to be pronounced one of those two ways, right, is pitched to be wandering the frozen wastelands of Arat Prime, where the next story map is set, quite possibly being at least some primate related to the Megapithecus, and now reshaped by a new resource that confirms a few things called red element. This now explains those red glowy rivers surrounding Arat Prime that we saw in that original Lost Colony trailer. But what makes it red? Why is it red? And what does it actually do to this side of Earth? If you didn't know, Element originally arrived to Earth in the lore of ARK in the form of an asteroid meteor hitting the planet. And perhaps it can be explained the dark side of Earth, because it was forced into a tidal lock and couldn't rotate anymore, simply sprouted a different strain of Element, red Element as it is now. Either way, whatever this new version of Element is, Mr. Rockwell's going to be super happy about that, seeing, you know, he loves his Element. God knows how much time he's got to play with this and what manner of weird creations he's created. Or maybe we already know, looking back at Community Crunch 473, where we were seized by this weird monstrosities that do look similar to the corrupted survivors you encounter on Gen 2 made by Rockwell. And I'm assuming those words must back up another Lost Colony creature, seeing that we've got other ones that have been revealed that are already in the game, like the Valwyn and the Elderclaw. But the Ossidon, or Ossidon, I guess somebody's going to correct me at some point, is pitched to have turned frozen alchemy into power and adapted to survive where even Titans falter. That in itself is a big thing, because Titans, they were overrunning Extinction. There was a lot of them, apparently, everywhere, and the whole of humankind had to attempt to fight these things with giant mechs and then beat the King Titan, the big monstrous Titan of Titans, to overthrow the Titans. In all of lore up until now, it was suggested that Titans roamed the entire Earth, and that was what humankind was fighting against, until you came along and poked Mr. King Titan in the face with a big giant mega mech sword. But no, on the dark side of Earth, no Titans can survive, no Titans can thrive over on that side. And I guess at least explains why we're going to shift away from Titans, as we've seen in Extinction, and bring forth brand new creatures of this side of Earth. Help to offer some explanation why we're going to see brand new creatures and not a repeat of what we saw in Extinction on the other side of the ever sun exposing Factor 50 side we've been playing on up until this point. But the next couple of words is even more interesting, because it explains where even the reseed protocol cannot reach. Because that's what happens when you beat Extinction. Spoilers, of course, once you beat the Alpha King Titan, or any King Titan, I guess, but you know what, if you want the true ending, then you want to beat Alpha King Titan, right? All of the arcs that orbit the Earth or plummet back down to the world to bring life to it once again, purging the Earth of elements and allowing mankind and dinosaur kind to walk as friends once again, like we always did since prehistoric times, right? But hang on a minute, how? Why? How does this work? because the world was literally encased in a giant ball of arks the entire way around it. Remember when you ascended and you orbited Earth for the very first time? There was literally no other place for any other ark to exist in this giant force field around the planet. So what the hell happened to all these arks that landed on that side of Lost Colony if the reseed protocol didn't work over there? Furthermore, all of the creatures, all of the dinos, all of the weird monstrosities that could have existed on all of those arks on that side of Earth, did that red element consume them and mutate them? Perhaps that's what we're seeing with this image here, and it's not Rockwell's creations after all, but in fact inspired his Gen 2 creations later on when we play that map at some point, hopefully late next year. And in fact, Wildcard explained themselves that this was once a dismissed mutation gone wrong. A towering beast becoming a living symbol of raw endurance and elemental might, with its dense fur shifting with the cold, its crest of bone and ice marking it as a creature forged in the harshest crucible imaginable. But the Ossidon, and I like the way that's pronounced, sounds a bit like Poseidon, right, is a force of frost and fury, ruled not by cunning but an overwhelming will to dominate. Yet, amid the chaos, a strange bond can form between beast and rider, a surge of shared affinity that turns survival into symbiosis. So, are we going to be Avatar hooking our hairy umbilical cords to the Ossidon? But either way, how we're doing that to create some symbiotic connection between us and Metal Monkey, the Ossidon can even transform itself, shifting with its attributes, with its power informing the twisted frame containing it. So maybe at will it turns from Trike to Pithecus and from Pithecus back to Trike, depending on what type of version of that you want? Or could it be even more expansive than that? Are we going to see a much more developed creature than what we saw with the Ferox on Gen 1? As you can tell, I'm really excited about this creature, what exactly it offers, how it's going to compete against the Titans of Ark, because there is now some big creatures to combat against, and even bigger creatures we've had since looking at the Dreadnoughtus in particular. What it's going to do in kaiju-like battles that we're crossing our fingers for, and especially seeing that up from the depths, who's a raging kaiju fanatic himself, has said it's his most anticipated thing coming with the map, a loving of big monsters. Really enjoyed seeing it come to life behind the scenes. Oh, I'm so jealous that people have seen this thing actually in game. I can't wait. And not long to wait. November the 18th, we're going to get this creature with it only temporarily spawning on Ragnarok, Valguero, and the center in cold biomes, and seemingly only spawning on those maps until Lost Colony finally drops to us in December, seeming to be yet again another incentive to purchase the Lost Colony expansion pass. And with the pass already offering quite a bit really, with the Valwyn, Drakelings, not forgetting of course the cosmetics and now recently added Elderclaw. Not forgetting we're meant to be paying for this to pre-order the map. I mean, chill comments all you want, but you can't deny there's quite a lot of stuff within that expansion pass, and it's surprising to see this included with it. I guess there's a real drive push for sales with this expansion pass before the end of the year. The Snail's financials are looking a bit rough, and apparently they are. But nevertheless, I'm very excited to see this monster included and haven't got really too long to wait. But that's not all in the world of Ark. If you're a player on the Nintendo Switch playing Ark on that platform and you've now got the Nintendo Switch 2, well, good news for you. Grove Street Games are excited to share that Ark Ultimate Survivor Edition is getting a major update that will bring backwards compatibility and enhance performance with the Nintendo Switch 2. With it being 60% off on top until November the 5th, could be a good time to get stuck in if you've been on the fence and on those platforms especially, but it is worth noting this does appear to be the very final patch you're ever going to see to this version of Ark. GP just did a recent video which I'd really encourage you to go and watch if you're on those platforms, or mobile for that matter, that explains the goings on within the Discord and Grove Street Games' response to a few comments that they're consolidating servers to fill the player base correctly, and that, well, frankly, they don't make any money off it anymore. So that's it, it's done. That's the final patch. Enjoy it, and that's your lot. In that same video, GP explains that unofficials will probably never come to Ark Mobile. Apparently there was a deal that they was trying to work out and it just didn't go through. The business heads, i.e. Snail Games, couldn't strike up a deal to allow people to host their own unofficial servers on mobiles. And I'm going to guess, seeing that they've been a giant contract with Nitrado, that was possibly the reason why. But instead have suggested maybe we can have official servers being moderated by players instead. Be very, very careful who on earth gets the ability to host these, run these, or we're going to have some wild scenarios on Ark Mobile. Can't say I played too much. It's certainly a technical achievement to run on your tiny little farty handheld devices. But player admin official servers, I don't know, man. It's a dicey area to navigate to. I guess we'll see what happens there. With a brief recap of the Extra Life standings, not too much has changed in the top 5. We've still got Giga in number 1, Aranio, Quetzal, Megalo and Thyle in the top 5 there, with a bit of a change lower down to Aloe, Carno and Plezzy. And there's still plenty of time for you to donate, hashtag and put in your donor's name if you want a certain creature to make sure it gets that TLC, and you can do that through anyone who's hosting through Extra Life as part of Team Studio Wildcard, including me, myself and Aaron Longstaff, and an alarming amount of creators. If you missed it, starting November the 7th, me and Aaron Longstaff will be hosting a 24-hour Extra Life charity stream, which is going to move on to a bunch of wonderful creators. Look at the list of that. This is going to be possibly the best Extra Life event we've ever done yet. I can't wait to take part in this and make sure to get involved and tune in when that happens. And Genesis Part 1 community creature submissions are still ongoing as we speak, with a lot being posted. There's a heck of a lot out there to go through. I don't know how on earth to do this without having a full-blown 3-hour video going through every single one, because it doesn't feel too fair to really pick out certain ones. But I am going to go through and look at the top 5 most voted liked, which are once again the Potion Brewing Land Octopus Paleo Octopus that was in the top 5 last week. Once again, Mesmerizing Deep Sea Hunter Abyssosaurus, and brand new contenders Sea Strider Atopentandatus, watching that one, Tidal Torpedo Romaliosaurus, and Taming Companion Irritator. Wow, great to see so many aquatic creatures being posted this time around. It does seem to be a lot of you really want to pitch those sea variants, because, you know, there is a sea dedicated biome for this one. Is there space down in those dirty depths for a brand new sea monster to really transform and give you more incentive to dive down in the abyss? Hopefully so. I'm really excited to see this. But I'd really encourage you to go through and check out all of these yourself. Yes, there is a lot to go through, but wow, oh wow, there's some wonderful creative submissions. People have put a lot of time and effort into pitching their ideas, got dossiers, pictures, abilities, a lot of stuff to really, really sell these crazy creative wonders, with one of them being an actual creature coming to the base game at some point next year. And that's your lot. There's enough being talked about in this news video today. ArkPack servers are wiping on November the 14th, by the way, and of course bonus rates are running as always this weekend, not as long as they were last weekend. I don't know why we got that, but I was very happy to see that. Ossidon, whatever this thing is called, I can't wait to get my hands on it. Can you? Comment below, let me know. Until the next one, my name is Raasclark. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and as always,